Welcome to Hidden Reality, where we uncover the truth buried beneath the surface. We're kicking off this explainer with a bizarre paradox that's been confusing experts for decades. We're talking about the phenomenon of high IQ, highly intelligent individuals doing things that are just inexplicably foolish and sometimes even fatal.
Just look at Steve Jobs. Here's an artistic genius who literally revolutionized modern technology, right? Yet when he was faced with a severe cancer diagnosis, he tragically ignored medical warnings. He tried to cure a deadly illness with a simple fruit diet and acupuncture. He only realized his monumental error when it was simply too late.
Or consider Jack Parsons. This guy was a brilliant engineer. His equations and rocket designs were absolutely essential to NASA's space dreams. But he had a hidden, darker side. He spent his nights performing deep occult rituals, literally trying to summon entities from the exact same sky he was building rockets to reach. And this bizarre double life? It kept going right up until a fatal explosion in his own lab ended the whole shebang.
Which leads Hidden Reality to ask a fundamental question. Why? Why does extreme intelligence come paired with such catastrophic blind spots? Why would nature build a flawed genius, matching world-changing brilliance with such disastrous, life-threatening behaviors? We're looking at a completely unseen glitch in the very fabric of human intelligence.
Well, the answer lies in something called the cognitive trade-off. It's nature's secret code, and it proves that intelligence isn't just some universal gift wrapped up in a nice little bow. Actually, it's more like a loaded gun pointing inward. You see, nature heavily favors deep specialization over generalization. It will gladly and ruthlessly sacrifice one mental trait to massively enhance another.
To really get this, Hidden Reality is taking you way back into the dark of the ancient jungles. Think about it. From 2 million to 200,000 years ago, our ancestors were facing constant threats. Pure, unadulterated fear actually forced their brains to completely fracture their survival tactics. Fear acted like this intense primal pressure cooker. It kept the tribe constantly alert, constantly guessing the next threat, and modifying their behavior split second by split second. Even today, fear is our most powerful emotion. But back then, that 24/7 immense pressure forced the human brain to split into distinct evolutionary roles just to stay alive against the brutal forces of nature.
Forensic evolutionary mapping reveals that there are actually 4 distinct dimensions of survival: the technical, the social, the explorer, and the stabilizer. Now, each of these came with a super powerful core optimization, but as a direct trade-off, each was also burdened with a deeply dangerous blind spot.
Let's break that down. Technical brains became the ultimate observers. They mastered logic and pattern recognition, which was absolutely essential for making tools. On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, social brains survived not by making tools at all, but by reading microemotions, forging complex political alliances, and basically manipulating group dynamics to stay protected within the tribe.
Right alongside them, we saw the rise of the explorers. These were the individuals taking massive risks, charging out into the unknown to find new resources so the tribe wouldn't starve. Contrast that with the stabilizers. They had zero interest in the unknown. They protected the tribe through strict discipline, unwavering duty, and keeping existing routines safe. Like making sure the fires kept burning all night.
And this perfectly illustrates a huge physical limitation governed by the law of energy conservation. Get this, the human brain makes up only about 2% of our total body mass, but it is incredibly demanding. It sucks up a staggering 20% of our body's energy. Because of that massive energy drain, the brain just can't do everything. It can only truly master one cognitive dimension at a time.
So the absolutely crucial point here is competitive neural allocation. This is hardcore neural biology at play. If nature maxes out your technical brain so you can understand complex systems and logic, it automatically trims, prunes, and compromises the neural pathways meant for social intelligence. You literally lose neurons in one area to fuel the overwhelming power of the other. It's a zero-sum game.
This massive trade-off creates 2 radically different physical brain structures. On one hand, you have the systematizing brain. This one is inherently obsessed with catching systems, tracking numbers, and finding logical relationships. On the other hand, you have the mentalizing brain, which is totally obsessed with reading people, figuring out hidden intentions, and navigating human emotions.
And this is exactly why a highly social brain, think of someone like the charismatic actor Shah Rukh Khan, can sound incredibly convincing and totally win over crowds without necessarily relying on pure logic or facts. Meanwhile, a technical genius who can literally map the stars might sound completely foolish or totally awkward when they're just trying to navigate a normal social event. Evolution actually wired us to confuse charismatic confidence with actual truth.
Which brings us to a massive reveal that completely flips modern psychology on its head. Conditions we currently label as ADHD, dyslexia, and autism, they aren't defects. They're carefully designed evolutionary weapons. Nature crafted them specifically to ensure the survival and advancement of the human race through extreme cognitive specialization.
Just consider this staggering statistic. 35% of top corporate CEOs have dyslexia. Let that sink in for a second. They might really struggle with traditional reading and spelling, but because of that cognitive trade-off we talked about, they possess unmatched, hyper-specialized abilities in big-picture thinking and complex system building. Stuff that perfectly typical brains simply cannot match.
It's like that brilliant quote often attributed to Albert Einstein. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Society currently mislabels these highly specialized evolutionary designs as defects. We call them stupid or disabled, mostly just because they don't fit perfectly into our modern, generalized, memorization-heavy school systems that demand everyone act exactly the same.
A deep investigation by Hidden Reality shows that historical and modern titans succeeded specifically because they found environments that unleash their unique, neurospecialized wiring. Elon Musk and Bill Gates leveraged Asperger's traits for days of intense technical focus. Vitalik Buterin built a massive crypto network as a teenager. Srinivasa Ramanujan saw profound mathematical patterns where everyone else just saw blank space. They weren't broken, they were hyper-specialized.
Looking at the other side of this trade-off, we have the explorers, people like Neil Armstrong or your heavy risk-taking entrepreneurs. Driven by this intense need for dopamine, novelty, and risk, they literally change the world by risking everything. And you contrast that sharply against the routine-driven stabilizers like disciplined government workers or stable operators, who are actually the ones keeping the world running safely day to day.
So we're turning the investigative lens directly onto you. Look at the paths laid out in this explainer. What is your base code? Are you fundamentally a technical brain, a social brain, an explorer, or a stabilizer? Because if you don't know the answer to this, you might be spending your whole life as a fish desperately trying to climb a tree. To unlock your true potential, you've got to honestly decode your base wiring, and that requires totally objective self-assessment. First, answer basic screening questions honestly and completely unfiltered, not how you wish you were, but how you actually naturally operate. Second, if you show high neurodivergence, take specialized scientific assessments. Stop forcing yourself into a societal mold that fundamentally goes against your nature.
But beware, because the mystery deepens. There is an unseen control button sitting entirely above your intelligence. It's the ultimate upstream controller. And it's the thing that decides if your specialized brilliance is going to save you and help you build your empire, or utterly destroy you, just like it did to some of those tragic geniuses we talked about earlier.
Intelligence, you see, is merely a magnifier. If you don't discover this hidden controller, your unique evolutionary gifts, whether that's your brilliant technical mind, your risk-taking explorer spirit, or your unmatched social skills, could become your absolute downfall. It's really not about how smart you are. It's about what invisible force is steering that smartness.
Intelligence is a powerful tool, but your ultimate success depends entirely on who is holding it. This mystery of the ultimate cognitive controller has been decoded by Hidden Reality. Subscribe to Hidden Reality for more deep dives into the unknown. We'll catch you in the next explainer.